welcome back to Mind Body Relationship, where we talk about the mind, the body, and the relationship. Hi, Dr. Laurie. How are you today?
I'm doing really good, Emerald, and how are you doing today?
Really good. I'm really excited because we're about to relationship review Meka and Michael from Married at First Sight.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, this couple is actually really kind of like a single personality.
Yeah.
They're very, very similar, and yet they're so highly reactive to one another. It's really amazing.
Oh, yeah. So why don't we go ahead and watch the very first clip?
All right, let's do it.
Michael literally gave me an ultimatum and said that if we don't have sex during the honeymoon, then he won't want to be in his marriage. When we get on camera, he's a totally different person. He's patient and he wants to wait for sex. To tell me that I have to have sex with you within a certain time frame or you're not going to be feeling the marriage.
Now, there's a lot going on here, which is really, really interesting, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really great example of disorganized attachment.
Oh, okay.
So we have a number of things going on. We have the disorganized attachment, and disorganized attachment has a lot to do with not being mirrored when it is that you are a child. Right? So you're not actually really able to pay attention to all of the cues in regards to relationship. You can blow them out of proportion, do the exact opposite to what it is that's being presented. And it creates a hugely confusing and chaotic environment.
Well, for sure, even in that small clip, it was very confusing, just as the audience member.
Exactly. And so a number of things are being outlined right there in that small clip. Meka is in pursuit mode.
Right.
And she is pursuing. What we will notice within many of the clips that we're about to watch is the exact same process that the two of them do. One is that Meka starts to eulogize.
She does. She can go on for days speaking about her problem that she has with him.
Exactly. And using many words.
Oh, yes.
Right? And filling all of the space. And the part of the reason why it is that she's doing that is that Michael does the exact opposite.
He shuts right down.
He certainly does. And then there's silence. So she's filling the space, she's in pursuit, he's silent, he doesn't know how to respond. There isn't actually any space for him to respond, which is really, really interesting. And the other component that I think is really interesting as well is that she's accusing him of something.
Oh, yeah.
She's accusing him of having a false sense of self. And she doesn't understand it. That's a part of the disorganized attachment style because the relationship cues are actually really missing.
Right.
And so she's pursuing him in regards to accusing him of having a false sense of self. I don't understand how it is that I'm not dealing with one identity.
And that actually is prominent throughout the show.
It is.
His lack of sense of self. And it must be so, like, as much as we can say, like, it's hard to listen to eulogies, it is also hard to not understand who you're dealing with.
Well, exactly. And I do believe later on, even though we don't show the clip, he does say that he had a very difficult start in life.
Yes.
He was adopted. I'm not sure of the extent of it. I don't think they cover the extent of it. But it does outline that mirroring in regards to parenting did not occur.
Right.
And every single one of us goes through a state of fragmentation in order for us to reach a cohesive sense of self.
Right.
And so what Michael actually really admits to, he does actually say it at one point, I am fragmented. Basically, he doesn't use those words, right? I am a fragmented sense of self. And you can see that throughout all of the experience. And Meka's trying to get it. She's not understanding the relational stuff that's happening because the attachment style between the two of them is so disorganized, they don't know whether they're coming or going.
I need you to be a little bit more vulnerable.
How? Mike, I'm tired of you keep saying the same stuff. Specific. Do you know what that means? Specific.
And then you would communicate. You to not have this disposition when we have this conversation all the time. Where
I feel like I'm being vulnerable.
That's not enough.
So what is enough?
What you give it.
What is that?
Showing up is great. That's awesome.
Oh man, just so uncomfortable. I can't imagine being a crew member and just standing there being like,
I mean, you can just pick it up, right? It's so disorganized.
Yeah.
Both of them cannot hear one another. Meka is actually really trying to get somewhere. She's in pursuit of him. He is actually really telling her, this is what it is I need you to do, right? Your presentation style sends me into the rabbit hole.
And it's hard to explain, I'm sure, in detail of how that is when it is happening in that moment, when it is happening that she's, I guess, attacking him in a way.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you can see how it is the frustration actually really increases as opposed to decreases, right? So, the disorganization is so intense that the opposite actually really happens. So just to be able to say, oh, I see. So this is how it is that you are taking me. Let me take a step back so that I'm actually dealing with someone who's able to think, who feels safe and social. And what he's saying is, I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm in need to run or freeze or fight. And I don't know which to pick.
Right.
So I'm just going to shut down.
Oh,
yeah.
That's hard.
Very, very hard.
Traditionally, many people associate marriage with sex. So it can be confusing when you marry a stranger because you are husband and wife. But to push or to prod each other in any way to have sex is inappropriate. And I can see why Meka is feeling a little put off.
That's something I'll have to talk to him about. Trust me when I say I'm gonna be on him like Ugly on an 8. I'm gonna be all over him. I hold men to a very high standard. Here's
like
what
icing
I'm
on a
gonna
cake.
focus on, though. Michael may have said some things that he had no business saying, but do I believe that's his character? I do not. I don't believe that's the case.
So that's a really great clip in regards to the conversation between Dr. Calvin Robertson and Meka, because it's hard to know exactly how it is that the people participating are being directed, and that's a really good example of how it is that they are being directed. Right. So Dr. Calvin picks up on the fact that Meka is outlining that there's several different versions of Michael, right? And what's really interesting is that they don't show him discussing that with her.
Yeah, it would be really nice to know. Like, it's really hard when you don't understand somebody. It would be really nice to have that different perspective to tell you, listen, this is actually how it is, and so that you can actually think about how you're going to cope with that.
Exactly. Everyone has different parts to who it is that they are, right? And so that's a really good discussion topic, just to be able to outline, well, this is actually really a part of who we are as people. Right? And it's great that she's able to pick up on it. And then the question is, now that she's picked up on it, what is it that she needs to do with it? Right? That's really the question.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be, I feel like it would be, if I was Meka, it would be so hard to be able to, tell myself like, oh, I guess I really value somebody telling me the details and going into detail, but now I have to cope with one-word answers.
Exactly. Right. So, at the part of the clip, she says, I'm not sure what to do here. Interesting. I'm so disorganized. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. But if the expert said, then obviously we've been matched for a reason. Yes, because you're both disorganized. Interesting.
Right.
Yeah. And sad in a way, really, too.
I do feel bad for both of them. I feel bad for Michael because, to be fair, I can't imagine someone coming at me like that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine constantly having to defend myself. And as well for Meka, I can't as well imagine somebody who says one thing and then means another and constantly is going back and forth. And it must be just so mind-boggling to try and figure somebody out when you're actually dealing with maybe 4 different people.
Well, exactly, right? And so it is about really acknowledging it, accepting it for what it is, and then the reality is that Meka can't change that.
No.
It really is about accepting Michael for who it is that he is, who it is that he's worked very hard to become. The difficulties he does outline in regards to his family of origin, right? And that the fact that, he definitely has work to do. Pursuing him will do the exact opposite of what it is that she's trying to do.
I guess it is one of those questions of, in regards to what we talked about last time, in that you can grow into love. I don't think that that's the case, especially with this couple.
Well, they're growing, but I'm not sure it's in the direction of love.
No. Quite the opposite.
I think so too, right? So, and it is just like what Meka was saying, right? If there isn't actually really a foundation there of attraction,
right,
then it's very hard to be attracted.
Mm-hmm.
And then the question is, well, what is it that you're deepening,
right,
in regards to attachment? There is nothing,
right.
So, that's really just interesting in regards to the 2 components, right? Is it to do with growth, or is it to do with falling in, right? I think the real important part, just to be able to recognize when you're dealing with someone who has basically different selves, just to be able to realize that everything that is being presented is actually right and true. It's a very, very frustrating attachment style. It lowers self-esteem. It causes so much chaos in regards to the relationship that sometimes it's near impossible to figure out. And as much as it is that Dr. Calvin said, well, you know what? I'm going to have a conversation with Michael. I'm going to be like icing on a cake. Is that what he said?
Yeah, like on his butt. I guess light a fire under, I don't know.
Exactly, right? That even the hint of that was said. The truth is that it's going to be very, very difficult to have any kind of impact on that, because the truth is, number 1, it already happened, and number 2, we're dealing with a fragmented sense of self, which is what it is that he outlined.
Yeah, you might not actually be addressing the issue with the person who said the issue. It's the person who agrees with Calvin.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
It's
very enlightening.
Yes. Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And good to be able to see.
Yep. Definitely. So if you've ever dealt with a disorganized attachment style, please comment down below. We would love to hear about it. Give this video a like, subscribe, stay subscribed, and please join us next time for the next couple review.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.